I really don't like public speaking at all.
Well, it's a private event.
I do have a little something I wrote
This is
up,
private speaking.
Some of it I'm going to read.
It's not public, it's private. It's all good.
And that's my first sentence. I literally hate public speaking. But I've always felt that if you care enough about something, then you should talk about it. I've been asked a lot by people, why do I fundraise for a group like T2? Why particularly an HIV-related organization? Well, here's my why. I'm HIV positive. I have been for a number of years. This is the first time I've ever said that out loud publicly. I have no shame in being HIV positive. It's just another part of who I am. But being from Cheyenne, Wyoming, one of the most conservative states in the whole entire country, I'm very careful about who I share that with and who I talk to about it. I have to really, really trust that individual to share that information with them. But every time I have, I've been incredibly fortunate that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback, a lot of positive support. I'm so grateful for that. When I was initially diagnosed, my viral load was over 120,000. My CD4 count was completely in the toilet. I didn't want to wait for treatment. I wanted to get on top of it right away. Fortunately, being from Cheyenne, well, living in Cheyenne, we're very fortunate that we have a doctor. She's not even an infectious disease doctor. She's a general health practitioner. But she knows how important it is because she had a brother who was HIV positive. She was just getting into practice when the AIDS epidemic was rolling across the country. And just like everything else, it hit Cheyenne, it hit Wyoming much, much later. And she told me stories about all the other doctors in town essentially just walking away from anybody that was HIV positive. And she was the one that stepped up and took it on. I got on treatment right away, almost immediately became undetectable. And I'm so glad that my numbers are always up in the high 900s now. I've been undetectable for years. But I'm very thankful for my relationship with Dr. Fisher. She's become more than just my doctor, she's become my friend. Every time I go see her, it's always, where are you traveling to next? What race are you running next? How's Michael, my husband, who's in the audience right there? She's always been one of my biggest champions and biggest supporters, biggest sponsors for T2. But I'm just so eternally grateful to have her in my life. I remember when I was diagnosed, I literally thought my life was over. My biggest concern was that Michael wasn't walking anymore, that I wasn't worthy, and that I was broken. But he immediately assured me that we figured this out together. From day one, he's been right by my side, and that speaks volumes about him. And I know he doesn't always understand the ins and outs of the virus, and blood draws, and the meds, and side effects, and all the things that come along with it. But we've navigated it together from day one. And I know he sits quietly in the background with his support, but I'm a little bit louder in the foreground. Early on after my diagnosis, I was receiving assistance with Ryan White's program in Cheyenne. But then, of course, I was one of those individuals that I worked hard. I owned my own business. And unfortunately, I didn't fall under that category of being able to believe there existed. And so Michael works multiple jobs. He works one where he holds our health insurance, and fortunately for that, I'm one of the lucky ones that have my meds covered. They're incredibly expensive if you don't know. I was on one at one time that if I did not have insurance, it was going to be $3,000 a month just for one pill that I would have to take every day. And we can do that. But fortunately, Michael's job, he gives us our health insurance. And he's always been one of my biggest supporters. And I love you very much. So another thing that I hated as much as public speaking was exercise. Of any form. Especially running. But I like to think that HIV made me do it.
Right here.
HIV pushed me into taking better care of myself, not only physically but mentally. And running seemed to be about the only thing that I was interested in. In junior high and high school, I was never the athlete. I was always the art kid, I was the drama kid, I was the academic. I was always picked last for everything. I was always made fun of for how I ran. And even at 51 years old, that still lives in my head. I still think about those little assholes that I went to school with. But now, every time I run, every race I run,
You're faster than them.
I'm faster than them. But it's also a big fuck you. So about 9 months after I was diagnosed, I decided I was going to get into running. And it started out by simply walking to the end of the driveway, walking to the end of the block, running a block, walking another block, running 2 blocks, and I just kept it up. And eventually the walking phased out and I never stopped running. I'll never forget how accomplished and proud I was of myself for running my first mile nonstop. It was a 12.5-minute mile, but I still did it. The anniversary of that mile, I go out and do that same route. And now I can do it 7.5. So I decided to sign up for my first 5K, which happened to be the Colorado 8 block in Denver, Colorado. I placed second in my age division. It was a 25-12. I was hooked. And since then, I ran over 50 5Ks, a dozen 10Ks, over a dozen half marathons, and on Sunday, I'll run my 6th full marathon. One thing I've learned about the running community is that some of your biggest supporters are strangers you've never met. This team has become one of the most supportive and loving families I've ever met until today. The inclusion and sense of community, T2 has far surpassed that of any other running club I've ever been a part of. I'm so incredibly honored and humbled to be a part of this team. Sometimes my HIV status lives in my head, but as the years go on, I think about it less as a burden and more about how fortunate I am. I'm one of the lucky ones. I have a roof over my head. I have a warm bed to sleep in, plenty of food to fill my belly, and medical insurance to cover the meds I need to stay healthy and be better. But I know all too well how fragile that is for anybody living with the virus and health condition. One health scare away, one political regime away, one heartbeat, and we could lose it all. I personally know how important the services of T2 are, and I'm honored to be a part of that. I lost my dad unexpectedly 9 years ago. And when I was fundraising for one of my AIDS walk runs, him and my mom wanted to give me a donation. And so we met up and he handed me the check. And I remember my dad saying, I hope you win your race. And I have that phrase tattooed right there on my arm. That's his writing. And when the miles get tough, and when life in general gets tough, I think of those words. So on Sunday, when you're out there running the Chicago Marathon, remember who you're representing, and remember your why for doing this. But most importantly,